Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you guys. Today we're going to be taking a look at some more Adamancipator games. I've definitely been playing the deck a fair bit more now that Baronne de Fleur is out. Has been an excellent addition to the deck, and I think has actually increased the deck's power level, not like significantly, but I think enough that you will definitely see a slight increase in Adamancipators on the tier list, not only because of the power that Baron adds to the deck, but also because obviously people know that Baron is good in the deck. People want to play a new card, so they're going to play the deck that the new card best fits into, and that is going to be, of course, good old Adamancipator here. So I wouldn't be surprised if Adamancipator hit tier 1. I think they're going to get up to upper tier 2. The main hurdle, though, is Drytron. And I actually, even though I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Adamancipator at tier 1 at some point, I also am in the mindset that we probably won't. And that is mostly because of the hurdle of Drytron. That, yeah, this deck does tend to struggle against Drytron a little bit more than some of the other meta decks do, particularly more than Trizu does. Trizu definitely has an easier time with its ability to include more like hand traps, disruption, tech options against the Drytrons there. But of course, this deck obviously still has its fair slots, or its fair share of slots for some tech stuff, and of course, obviously, we now also have Baron, which adds so many things to the deck. It's so much more. I still see people say, like, oh, it's just another Omni Negate for the deck, and it's no. Baron is so much more than just an Omni Negate for the deck. Like, obviously the Omni Negate is really good, but so is the ability to destroy a card. Obviously, just her presence being a 3,000 attack monster can very often threaten lethal, and definitely the ability to bring stuff back during the standby phase is not irrelevant. This card is extremely versatile. It's good going first. It helps us going second. It's just an all-around great card, a great addition for the deck. So the build that I am using here is still going to be the same one that I showcased in the last video where I included Baron, and it's still, for the most part, the same build that we've been using since the beginning of Season 4, since we started laddering with Adamancipator on our way to Plat 1. This build has been working out very well. I very much like our small suite of spells here. The extra deck, it's interesting. I have actually considered putting Herald of the Arclight back in, although I don't know really still what I would take out. I'd have to really think about that some more. It might be Nightmare Phoenix, it might not. I do still like Nightmare Phoenix in the extra deck, but I think I would only include Herald of the Arclight if I was going to put a Weeping Idol into the deck, which I have actually been considering. It's actually kind of, I don't know, I feel like this is maybe more standard than I think it is, but it's nice to have the level 2 non-tuner option for an extender, right? Because that lets us go into Herald of the Arclight more easily, and it can also, in a lot of scenarios, even help us go into Baron more easily than we would normally be able to. I guess the main thing that, like, I've kind of hesitated on with Weeping Idol is that mostly I don't personally feel I have the room right now. Like, there's nothing I want to cut for Weeping Idol. If I was going to cut something for Weeping Idol, it would probably be, well, in the interest of using it as another extender, right, it'd probably be best to cut a third Koa'ki or Supplier, but Rocksies plus Supplier is such a good combo. And some people don't like Supplier because it's a little bit reliant, like, it's a little bit of a niche extender. Like, you have to send a rock from field to grave, which can be hard to do sometimes, whereas with Weeping Idol, you just have to have the tuner on the board, and then you can special excuse me, and then you can special summon the Weeping Idol there. So there is definitely that advantage. The other slots obviously are some of my more tech spots, which right now would be like Nibiru and Tackle Crusader, but I just really like Tackle Crusader as a nice way to get rid of some, like, floodgates potentially, or a problem monster. And then I really like Nibiru, as I've said a million times now. If you're playing Maxi, you should have a threat to go into that's going to stop your opponent from OTKing you, and for me, Nibiru is often that threat. So Yep, as far as the spells go, Foolish Burial wouldn't be a bad addition to this deck, but I don't really want to craft it. I don't want to spend the ultra rare craft points, and I don't particularly even want to add it to this deck. I have thought about it, because like I could use Foolish Burial in multiple decks. It is definitely a staple card. It's definitely not a bad card to craft, but like, again, I look at this current build, particularly the main deck, and I'm just like, I don't want to drop anything. Like, I really, really like this lineup. It's been working very, very well for me, and I think it's really solid. So let's actually break down this list card by card here, now that I've talked about it for long enough here. So we've got 1 Dragon Buster Destruction Sword, 3 Maxx, 1 Mecha Phantom Bestow Lion, 2 Doki Doki, 1 Prank-Kids Dropsies, 3 Adamancipator Seeker, 3 Adamancipator Researcher, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 Gigantes, 3 Koa'ki Mirror Guardian, 1 Tackle Crusader, 3 Prank-Kids Rocksies, 3 Adamancipator Analyzer, 3 Koa'ki Mirror Supplier, 3 Block Dragon, the Nibiru, we got a Lightning Storm, 2 Call by the Grave, and 2 Forbidden Droplet is going to round out the main deck. Here in the extra, we've got Adamancipator Risen Raptite, Borreload Savage Dragon, Adamancipator Risen Dragite, Baronne de Fleur, of course, Gallant's Granite, Link Spider, Prank-Kids Meow Meow Moo, Crystron Halky Fibrax, Nightmare Phoenix, Prank-Kids Dodo Doodle Doo, 1 IP Masquerena, we've got a Union Carrier, a Nightmare Unicorn, an Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, and of course, Access Code Talker. Yep, so I don't know if I really have a whole lot else more to say about the deck that I haven't already said, not only at the beginning of this video, but also if you check out the description below, you will find a link to not only this deck's most recent deck profile. Ooh, actually, how am I going to do that? Am I going to link the Baron video, or am I going to link the actual deck profile update? I'll figure it out. It'll be one or the other. Maybe both, actually. It might not be a bad idea to link both. Well, whatever. You'll see some amount of links leading to more in-depth discussion about this deck, as well as a link to a dedicated combo guide for the deck as well, which actually, as of the time of recording this, I have not made an updated one to include Baronne de Fleur. I'm still debating if I want to do that. If you really want to see that, let me know in the comments below. If I see a lot of comments saying you need to update the combo guide for Baron, then I will definitely go ahead and do that. So definitely let me know. Okay. Yep, like I said, I don't really know that I have anything else to add at this point in time. Let's go ahead and take a look at some games here. Okay, so this first game we're going to be watching here is going to be against True King, True Draco. When I queued into this game, I was really nervous when I didn't see an extra deck. I was like, oh no, is this some kind of like bot or something? But then I remembered, oh wait, the bots, yeah, duh, they run the extra deck. So I'm going to normal summon Analyzer here, just to go for an Excavate. And oh no, we did hit something. I thought we didn't hit anything, my bad. We go and hit a Guardian, but we don't really have a whole lot else in hand to combo off with. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to go ahead and go straight into Gallant Granite from here and search the Block Dragon. And I'm actually going to banish 2 things from hand and 1 thing from grave, just to summon Block Dragon and link it away. From there, we're going to go into Union Carrier. Now, this is definitely an atypical opening line of play, but it is actually one that you should definitely be open to trying, because I think the most unique thing about this line, aside from the fact that we're going into Union Carrier first, which we'll talk about in a second here, but it's also that we used only 1 card from our graveyard, but 2 cards from our hand in order to summon this Block Dragon. And you might think like, whoa, isn't that a lot of card disadvantage? Like, that's 2 cards out of your hand. Well, we actually don't have to be really worried about advantage with this deck. It doesn't really matter how many cards we send away with Block Dragon. Hell, I've even had games where I've banished 3 cards from hand to summon Block Dragon to link it away, because you're just going to get 3 searches with Block Dragon. And not only are you going to get 3 searches, you're going to get 3 searches that are going to let you continue to combo off and then just go into your full negate board, or your combo. It might not be a full negate board. That usually depends on your excavates, but it's going to enable you to go into you can pretty much always end on like a 3 material Appaloosa and a Borreload Savage Dragon at the bare minimum, right? And that's obviously a line we would love to start with when we're going first. So sometimes you do have to think outside of the box a little bit. That's the thing about Adamancipators, right? Is that we don't have like hard lines of play, like if you have this, do this. It's like let's see what we open with and then see what we excavate. Let's just, like, you know, I've said it before, it's like the Office quote with Michael Scott. Sometimes I don't know what the beginning of my combo, or sometimes at the beginning of my combo I don't know what the end is going to look like. I just hope I find it along the way. And that's what we're going to be doing here. So we make the Union Carrier specifically because we don't have a whole lot of links to go into other than that or like Nightmare Phoenix, and we definitely want to set up the Union Carrier at some point during this turn, so it's like, why not? Let's just make it now and get it out of the way. So yep, we link away the Gallant Granite, and then obviously the Black Dragon we searched with it. Now we are able to search the Gigantes and the Adamancipators. From there we are able to start excavating. We actually whiff with the Seeker, or the Researcher, which is pretty unlucky. We do fortunately hit with the Seeker, which is nice, as long as we hit with one of them, is all I was really hoping for. So we're going to sink the Seeker and the Gigantes and now into... or no, I'm sorry, not sync. We're actually going to link them into Crystron Halki Firebax. That's right, because with this line, we actually haven't set up a link monster in our graveyard yet for the Borreload to equip, and we definitely want to do that before we go into our Borreload, obviously. So here I end up sinking away the Guardian in order to make Raptite, so that way I can get my token, but then I realized, like, crap, I can't go to Link Spider because the Union Carrier only points in one zone down, and the Halki Firebax doesn't point in either of these directions. So what I'm actually going to do here in order to go into Appaloosa without losing too much advantage is I'm going to link the token and the Halki Firebax into Nightmare Unicorn. Well, and then, of course, also there's the fact that we... Whoops, I went into Borreload a little quickly there. There's the fact that we can't link away the Union Carrier, but I still want to try to go into Appaloosa here. So, at the very least, by using the Nightmare Unicorn, we can set up the Halki Firebax for the Borreload to equip. Now, we can use our Block Dragon with the Seeker we just summoned with the Raptite in order to go into Baronne de Fleur, setting up another Omni-Negate, always very nice. We were able to equip with the Union Carrier we set up earlier, bring the Block Dragon back, use the Nightmare Unicorn to go into a 2-material Appaloosa. Obviously, we would much rather have 3 like we normally do, but again, we were in a bit of an odd setup here. But yeah, I wanted to lead with this game because I wanted to show kind of a non-traditional way that you can end with. Obviously, again, this isn't like the most ideal board. Like, the most ideal board would be... Well, I was going to say 5. With the addition of Baron, you can actually set up a board with 6 negates. I've yet to do it, but it is possible to do. But yeah, I mean, we still have 2 monster negates with the Appaloosa, and we have 2 Omni negates, and we also were able to establish the extra deck lock, again, specifically because we went into Union Carrier earlier in our combo. Now, it is certainly possible that by going into Nightmare Phoenix, we could have linked it away for an Appaloosa earlier, which might have even set us up a little bit better. I don't even know... I'd have to go back and really rewatch and really think about this with my hand if I did have a better line of play than if I opened Nightmare Phoenix instead of Union Carrier. But I thought opening with Union Carrier was a safe play because I knew that I was able to at the very least set up the Borreload and then establish it with the extra deck lock, which I think is probably the most important part of this, the Borreload Omni-Negate plus the extra deck lock. So we just happen to also be able to get the Baron and the 2-material Appaloosa too. So opponent's going to lead with Pot of Duality. I'm actually going to let it resolve because I'm pretty sure we have other spells and traps that are more threatening. Given that they don't have an extra deck, I figure it's either going to be a bot or I thought it might have been Monarch, but yeah, it ended up being True King. So my opponent's going to Terraform me. I know they're going for the field spell, which I know is extremely powerful, so I'm just going to go ahead and negate that with the Baron there. They're going to Desires next, and believe it or not, I'm actually going to negate this with Borreload Savage Dragon, which you might think, like, wow, Lex, isn't that a really big risk? Like, if your opponent has Lightning Storm, then you're just kind of SOL here. And, I mean, honestly, yeah, I would be. I can't really deny that. However, I was reasonably confident that my opponent wouldn't have Lightning Storm here, because typically decks like True Draco and Domain Monarchs don't play Lightning Storm, I think, from what I've seen. There's obviously not too many of them running around, but I know that they're very reliant on having face-up spells and traps in the form of, like, Domain of the Monarchs, the Monarch trap, what is it, the one, I think it's the Monarchs Erupts, the one that's basically Skill Drain. True King plays Skill Drain, you know, True King obviously plays all the continuous spells and traps, so I figure if it's one or the other, they're probably not playing Lightning Storm, and if it's one or the other, this Pot of Desires, getting them extra advantage is going to be very, very crucial to their strategy going forward. So, I actually do want to negate it with the Borreload Savage Dragon, as odd as that might seem. And they're going to go ahead and set 3 and then Card of Demise, which is like crap. You know, they had the extra draws anyway. But very, very fortunate for me, they actually whiff on monsters and don't get any. But they do still have a bunch of back row, which is a little scary. However, at this point, we do already have our board established. I am actually going to activate Baron during the standby phase because I want to summon a Dragite. So I'm going to get my Raptite back, plus I get an extra Excavate, which I'm actually not... Spoiler alert, I'm not going to even end up needing because I'm going to end up with so many monsters on board and so many extra excavates. It's like total first world Adamancipator problem. This is actually one of the first times I've ever run into this scenario where I have too many excavates and too much stuff on board. I have too much advantage, you know. Opponent's going to Psalm the Dragite as they realize my plan to ideally bounce all of their back rows back. However, the fact that they Psalmed the Dragite tells me that they don't have a skill drain, otherwise they just would have waited for me to activate my effect and flip that. Or they would have flipped it much earlier, you know. So, yeah, I know they don't have a skill drain. I know they probably don't have any floodgates, so I feel reasonably confident in my ability to go into an access code talker, pick off the back rows one by one, and then attack for game. Obviously, between the access code being 4300 and my Borreload being 4750, I have more than enough negates. And even if I hit a True King spell or trap, destroy it, and its effect activates to destroy one of my cards, I can just use Borreload's Omni Negate effect to go ahead and stop that. Plus, if things really go south for some reason, I obviously just have everything I just grabbed off of the Block Dragon too, so... I'll even banish the Appaloosa because my opponent's only at 4,000 here. So, yeah, like I said, my opponent's going to try to destroy one of my cards. At this point, it doesn't even matter because they're at 4,000, which I actually forgot at this point. I thought they were still at 8,000 when I set this board up, so it was a little bit extra, but we're still able to go for lethal all the same. So, yeah, that's kind of a way to play into... I mean, obviously, again, my opponent didn't have a floodgate in particular there, but, you know, even if they have a whole bunch of back row, you still just gotta play optimally, play rationally, play in a way that you can address the back rows to go for a guaranteed lethal, if at all possible. So, okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the next game here. Alright, next video here... next game... was actually going to be against the mirror match, although this will be a very interesting game against the mirror match because my opponent is actually playing a lot of really interesting tech choices that aren't necessarily bad, but my opponent is playing 44 cards to include them all, which I think especially for a deck like this, it's definitely better to stick to 40. I mean, I just think it's better to stick to 40 in general, but I think Adamancipator is especially a deck where you'd prefer to be at 40, so... Yeah, we're able to normal summon Guardian, special summon Researcher from there. Researcher hits a Doki Doki, which can summon Rocksies, which, if you're familiar with this deck, you know is far more than enough to just go off here. So we are going to do that. The Guardian provides a nice guarantee that no hand traps or Nibirus are going to... I guess Nibiru is a hand trap. No hand traps are going to interrupt us. The Rocksies guarantees that we're going to establish a link to, as well as... further advantage. We Raptite here and immediately flip up a Seeker, so everything is going great here. This is definitely set up to be an ideal opening. I've even already opened the Block Dragon, so I don't even have to go into Gallant Granite. We can just link away the Dodo-Dodo-Doo, Block Dragon, and Doki Doki to go into an Appaloosa. And then from here we can add our all too familiar suite of Adamancipator cards. Now remember, this Seeker I actually didn't summon with its own effect, I summoned with Raptite, so even though I can't summon another Researcher with her own effect, I can actually special summon another Seeker from my hand. So I'm going to do so here. So now I can not only go into Borreload Savage Dragon with Seeker and Raptite, but now that I have the extra Monster Zone free, I am able to, well, I don't have it free anymore. I'll have it free in a moment. Basically what I'm leading up to here is that we're going to be able to make a Baron first turn as well. So I'll link away the Supplier and Tackle Crusader for IP Masquerena here. Oh yeah, that's right. I think this is a game where I actually do a bit of a weird setup. Because I totally even glossed over it. It already just happened. Yeah, so... Because I even said I was about to go into Borreload Savage Dragon, but then you're probably like, huh? Wait, you went into Adamancipator Researcher Dragite. And I did. It was a total misclick on my part. And I still even remember this, because this game actually happened earlier today, the same day I'm recording this. So when I was in this moment, I was intending to summon Borreload Savage Dragon, but I was also at the same time thinking about, is there a way I can make Baron and Dragite with this board as well? And of course, you know, my brain decided to cross wires, and it's because I was thinking about Dragite while I was going through my extra deck looking for something to summon. So instead of clicking Borreload Savage Dragon, I clicked Dragite, and I was like, crap, well, that sucks. I mean, at the very least, I do have the water set up in my graveyard so I can negate a spell or a trap, but I'd obviously rather have an Omni negate in this situation. But I still want my extra deck locked too. What am I going to do? So here is what I did. Because you might be wondering, don't you normally go into Union Carrier before you would go into IP Masquerena? Yes, but I wanted to go into IP Masquerena first because you might already see where I'm going with this. I'm going to still establish my extra deck lock and Omni Negate. The first step in this plan was to set up Baronne de Fleur to ensure I still had an Omni Negate. And then from here, yep, I'm going to special the Gigantes, send away the Gigantes and the Guardian for Union Carrier, and now, where I would normally target the Dark Borreload Savage Dragon, I'm going to target the Dark IP Masquerena and equip her with the Buster Dragon. Obviously not ideal, she's only got 1800 attack even after the equip, and with her effect, you know, whatever, you know, our opponent, we're going to want to, obviously we're going to want to keep this around, and IP Masquerena is a card that does not typically stick around, but I figure it's better than nothing, right? It'll still lock our opponent out of the extra deck. We still have multiple monster negates, a spell trap negate, and an Omni negate. So if our opponent really wants to address this IP Masquerena, we just have so many different ways we can stop it, and worst case scenario, at the end of their main phase, if they're about to pop it, whatever, we can just link away with IP Masquerena. So another example where I had to do kind of a weird line to make it work, but this time it was due to my own misplay as opposed to having an odd hand. But our opponent actually does have a kaiju, so there goes that whole line right there. Okay, so I want to talk about this too. When my opponent activates Adamancipator Analyzer's effect, rather than using the monster effect negation of Appaloosa, I immediately use the Omni negate of Baronne de Fleur. Why is that? Well, the reason that I did that is because Baronne de Fleur's negate is not only just a negation, it's a destruction, whereas Appaloosa negates but doesn't destroy. So if I negate the effect of Adamancipator Analyzer to summon, it'll just stay in their hand, and they can just still normal summon it, and then potentially special summon Researcher and or Seeker. However, if I negate and destroy Analyzer here, not only am I denying them, obviously, the free special summon for Analyzer, but now, if they want to, if they, again, had a Researcher and or Seeker, now they have to normal summon those if they want to keep comboing off. So that's why I thought the negation and destruction was important here. But as you can see, our opponent's actually got Forbidden Droplet, so it actually doesn't even end up mattering, because our opponent is just able to negate our Appaloosa and our Baronne de Fleur. And I think they negate Dragite as well? Or should I have been able to negate... Oh no, because I couldn't respond with a monster effect, that's right. So here we see another interesting tech option from our opponent is the Phantom Beast O-Lion, as well as the Almirage, or not the Phantom Beast O-Lion, the Parallel Exceed, as well as the Almirage, but it weirdly actually like works out really well for them here. They're able to summon the O-Lion, link it away for Almirage, get the token, do the Parallel Exceed to go into Gallant Granite, and I mean now from here we all know what they're going to do, right? They're going to go into Block Dragon, so... yeah, my opponent is playing a lot of like interesting tech stuff that you don't normally see in Adamancipator, but it's not even like necessarily bad, I don't think, because this is a really cool line of play that they're going for. Again, my only issue with their build is that they're playing 44 cards, which I personally would not, but they did get to include all these cool tech stuff by doing so. Oh, and they're also playing Rock Band Xeno Guitar, which is a card I've been recommended a couple of times. Well, they concede because they realize they can't get over my board. I have been recommended Rock Band Xeno Guitar a couple of times, and it is a card that I've looked into, but honestly, it's the same as with the other stuff I talked about, you know, before we went into this game that I was thinking about including. Right now with my main deck, I look at it, and I just don't personally see anything I want to drop like at all at this time. Now, obviously, as the meta develops and we play more, we could find, you know, some, oh, maybe this card isn't as useful as I thought it would be. So then, you know, we could, I'm not saying this is going to be the build it is forever, but for the time being, I really am into this build. So, okay, let's go ahead and look at some more gameplay here. Okay, next opponent is actually going to be Eldlich, and believe it or not, okay, it's April 7th, the date that I'm recording this, and this replay that you're watching is the only Eldlich I've played so far this season, this whole season. This match is the only game I've had against Eldlich, and I'm just like, how? Like, I see so many people still, like, even now, being like, oh, I see so much Eldlich, and it's everywhere, and it's so annoying, and it's ranked tier 2 pretty much everywhere. This deck is out there. I've just, like, RNG, I've just not run into Eldlich at all somehow. But that's another reason why I always say things like you have to remove your own personal biases from your Yu-Gi-Oh! Playing experience. And of course, the runtime I run into Eldlich too, by the way, they don't even have a floodgate, which is nice. Lucky me, lucky, I know. But yeah, I mean, that's why your own personal experience, I've said this before in other videos, it's why your own personal experiences cannot be your only basis for what the meta is like, because if I just based all of my opinions off of only the decks I've played against, then I would be like, Eldlich is dead. It's not even a rogue deck. I see other rogue decks more often. But I go to sites like MasterDuelMeta.com and I clearly see from the stats that Eldlich is seeing play and it is tier 2. And that's why I'm able to know, oh, I'm not, Eldlich isn't dead. It's not that nobody's playing it. I just haven't rolled into it, you know. I haven't RNG'd into Eldlich on the ladder except for this one occasion, so maybe it was 2. I feel like it was only just this one, though. Because I remember at the beginning of this game even saying to myself, like, hey, it's Eldlich. What's up? I haven't seen you in forever. I remember saying something like that, so... And of course we are able to go into Baronne de Fleur. You can tell I'm excited that Baronne came out, because I'm... It's not even just that I'm going into her every opportunity I get, but I think it was actually smart to go into Baronne here, just in case their last card was a hand trap before I kept comboing. I mean, obviously they would have activated it by now, but... it's not even just that I'm going out of my way to make Baronne. I mean, to an extent, I am a little bit, but at the same time, it's just so easy to make her. If you've got the extra materials engraved for Block Dragon, you can just summon him back, and then all you need is a level 2 tuner, which you almost always have an extra one anyway, so... Yeah, and then since my opponent went first, I will just, you know, summon all the monsters I need to add up to 8,000 damage and just smack my opponent down for game. Pretty easy stuff. Like, again, I did get lucky and they didn't have any floodgates. That I definitely won't deny that, but yeah, I don't know. The one time I play against Eldlich, but you know what? We'll take it. We'll definitely take it. So, okay, let's go ahead and look at some more gameplay here. All right, this next game, actually, these last 2 games are going to be from like the night before Baronne came out, or the day before. So these games are actually not going to include Baronne de Fleur, but do just know that, yeah, these last 2 are from, like, just before. It's the exact same build, otherwise I just had a Herald of Arclight in my extra deck, excuse me, instead of the Baronne. So this game is actually going to be against a pure Tri-Brigade deck with, like, the Rescue Cats and stuff. They've got a Psyframe for our Seeker, which is a little bit annoying, but it is what it is. We'll set the Called By. We've at least got Maxx and Ash to stop what they're doing, and a Block Dragon to help us with our plays next turn. We just need another Earth to set it up, so that's nice. So, as always, we'll let them activate Tenki, and then we will Ash the Fractal. That way they for sure do not get to set up their graveyard, because if you Ash the Tenki, it's a very real chance that it was a bait Tenki, and they're just going to go for Fractal anyway. So, but yep, that Ash was able to cut them off. We're able to get them to set a monster in a back row and then just pass. I'm going to Maxx here. Okay, actually I want to talk about that real quick because I went by a little bit quickly. You might be like, wait, Maxx just randomly went from hand to grave. Yeah, because I activated its effect because I was planishing on, planishing. I was planning on banishing is what I meant to say, but then I just said planishing instead. I was planning on banishing an Earth from my hand anyway, and then I realized my spare Earth monster was Maxx, so I just realized, well, duh, why don't I just activate the Maxx? That way, if this happens to be a revolt that my opponent is somehow able to get off and does flip up this turn, I'll at least get a draw for it. Otherwise, it's, you know, the exact same either way. So, yep, we normal summon the Guardian. I don't remember what order we quite did it in, but we send the Maxx to grave with its effect. We summon the Guardian. We special the Block Dragon. We're linking away the Block Dragon and the Guardian. And this time we're actually going to go into IP Masquerena. And the main reason I want to go into IP Masquerena is because we are going second here, and I want to go into Access Code Talker to try to secure lethal. If I go into Union Carrier, I remember we cannot link away Union Carrier the turn it's summoned. So the link to that I want to go into here is IP Masquerena, again, for use later to go into Access Code Talker. Most importantly, though, we've sent the Block Dragon. We also had the called by for their, their Ash, which is nice, so... Black Dragon Search, as always, is going to get Gigantes, Researcher, and Seeker. We'll special the Gigantes, special everything else. Researcher excavates, and let's see. Looks like we actually whiffed there. Oh, no, we got a Guardian. I always miss that first reveal when I'm watching in the games back here. Continuing with the replay, by the way, the replays as opposed to live games with Adamancipator. Just because, again, I've said this in past videos, but... I think this deck is more conducive towards replays than live videos, because a lot of the times it's hard to get, like it takes a long time to get quality live games, or just quality games in general with this deck. Like half the time you win, it's just you combo on your first turn and they concede halfway through, so. Excuse me, just had to take a sip of water. I'm actually, this is like... the same night I did one of my streams. I've been doing a lot of recording tonight, so I've been talking a lot and my voice is getting a little strained here. But, yep, they've got the Imperm for our Halki Fibrax. Not a big deal. I was mainly going into Halki Fibrax just to summon my access code anyway. Now I can just access code away their face-down monster. You know, the access code itself will be 4,300. That combined with everything we've already got on board is enough to lethal our opponent. So I've got one more game. Again, like I said, this game is going to be also from just before Baron came out, but yeah, it'll still be an interesting one. Okay, last game of the video here. This one, again, like I just cut away. You don't have to. You just heard it 5 seconds ago. You know it's from before Baron came out. This game we're going second, and actually our opponent is playing Madolches, and they're going to end up getting a very, very scary turn 1 board here. But I included this replay to show why you should not panic, even if your opponent has a very scary turn 1 board, and why everything will be okay. So we're going to try to negate Magdalene. Well, we do negate Magdalene, but they just have the Petting Sasor in their hand anyway, so they're able to go into their plays as if they were uninterrupted, even though we did have the Ash here. So that's obviously not good for us. Now, not only do they still have their full combo, but we're also down a card. We look at our hand, though. We've got Droplet, we've got Block Dragon, and more importantly, we've got Rocksies plus Researcher. So we do have, we definitely have a lot of access to lines of play here, and we even have a way to stop pesky monsters on the board. We just have to hope our opponent doesn't have any hand traps or back rows that are going to interrupt us. Madolche's actually been on the rise lately from what I've noticed. I wonder if it's because Stevie made that Madolche video, or if it's just kind of like a synchronicity thing. I don't know. Like I see Stevie make his Madolche deck, and then I start to see a bunch of Madolche decks. It's like, you know, when you get a new car and then all of a sudden you start to see that car everywhere. It's not because there's actually more of that car on the road. It's just because you're thinking about that car and now you notice it every time. So I wonder if I've just now been thinking or noticing the Madolche decks I've been playing against. But I definitely don't think Madolche is a bad deck. I still actually am kind of curious about it, and thinking about looking at maybe possibly someday putting on my list of cards, decks to maybe build, which is like the most non-committal thing I've ever said in my life. But they're able to get 2, is it Glass Filet? I actually don't know what dessert that's referencing, but like I said, scary Madolche board. Their cards are not going to be affected by our effects. What are we going to do? Well, it's actually not that bad here. Because I know their back row, at least I'm pretty sure we know their back row, right? Didn't they reveal it at some point? Even if they didn't reveal it, past experience against this deck, actually, it looks like they didn't actually. I know it's very likely Madolche Promenade, which does have the ability to negate any of my face-up cards, which is a little bit scary. But given that I really only have to play through one negate, and I know I can establish the rest of my board pretty easily here, I'm not too concerned about it. I am going to try to droplet the teacher here, so that I can, you know, maybe keep their cards from being unaffected by stuff, but they're actually going to promenade the droplet, which I actually, before they did, I thought promenade only negated a face-up monster. I didn't realize it was any card, so they can actually negate a spell or trap as it's resolving, which is pretty scary. So they do negate the droplet here. Yeah, I mean, obviously it kind of sucks, but it's not that big of a deal. The thing that is going to be even more of a big of a deal is that they're going to put back the Block Dragon and Doki Doki that we just discarded. But even that we'll be able to play through, so... Yeah, between their ticket and saloon, I think it's salon, actually, that is going to shuffle our stuff back, or is it the ticket? Oh, no, it's neither, it's the teacher. That's right. And that's okay. So the salon lets them set another promenade, and then the ticket lets them summon a Pudding Sisor, which lets them get another Angel. Yeah, scary Madolche board. But as I've said before, you know, the most important thing to do is to not panic. Is to just continue to play the most optimal play given the current situation, and that's really all there is to it. You just have to accept, you know. Yeah, this is a scary looking board, but this is the current situation. We're just going to have to play through it. We're able to set up our good old friend access code talker. We only have the one link monster in graveyard, so even that, though, is like a little, you know, is this really going to be enough to get through this? But, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We get, more importantly, our Block Dragon Search. We're able to summon the Gigantes and the Seeker. Activate Seeker's excavating ability. Let's see what we get here. We hit a Doki Doki, which is what we like to see. Or no, we actually summon the Guardian here. That's right, because there's not really a need to use Doki Doki to summon another level 2 tuner here. So we'll get the Guardian out. And then from there we can Raptite and excavate now. So we do hit at least a Supplier, if nothing else. But I actually go for another Guardian instead, as another potential monster effect negation if I need it. And here is the most important part, the Dragite. And here we reveal Big Money No Enemy Stop 1, 2, and 3. Okay, we do reveal 3. I did remember that right. So we reveal 3 of the rocks there, so we can put 3 of the cards back. Definitely want to put back the Promenade. So that we don't get hit with it next turn. And then, yeah, I just put back a couple of their other stuff here. I put back the Pudding Sisor, because it doesn't have an effect when it's... There was a reason I put back the Petting Sisor. I just don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but whatever, it's important. Or it's not important, right? In any case here, yet we're able to even go into Union Carrier. Once again, even though we don't have Borreload Savage Dragon out, we can still attach our Buster Dragon to any Dark. In this case, we can attach it to Access Code Talker. On top of that, we're even also able to set up our IP Masquerena, although we don't actually have a card in hand to discard for a Nightmare Unicorn, so... we're still going to activate it all the same here, and actually I don't even remember this part off the top of my head. Oh, I wouldn't. Oh, that's right. No, I do remember this. I purposefully set this up because I wanted to set up an Appaloosa on my opponent's turn. I'm actually going to let this Hoot Cake resolve, though. I think that's totally fine. Yep, our opponent's just going to go ahead and tribute, actually, to summon their Psyframe driver to battle over my Appaloosa. So the Appaloosa did its job, even though it didn't actually negate any monster effects. It put my opponent in a situation where they had to make an awkward play that used up their battle phase in order to even address it. And they weren't able to even address my access code talker, so they're not able to use their extra deck at all, which is definitely what I want. So I'm going to activate Dragite's effect here. My opponent's going to flip a Promenade, but I do have a water monster engraved, so I can just go ahead and negate the Promenade. Here I was pretty convinced, like, truly they thought of this, right? And now they're going to activate something to negate my Dragite. But no, they don't, so we definitely take those. We negate the Promenade. And in good old Yusei Fudo fashion here, we pull... Oh no, I thought we were going to pull 5 cards off the top. I was going to reference how Yusei always pulls 5 tuners off the top for Shooting Star, because I thought we were about to pull 5 rocks, but 4 is enough to get our opponent to concede anyway. Between that and access code, we can definitely clear out their face down card and their monsters, and definitely attack for an assured lethal. Okay, everybody, so that is going to do it for this game. I hope you this game. Wow, that's the second time, and earlier I said video instead of game. Huh, how funny. So that's going to be it for this video, rather. I hope you enjoyed those replays. Again, like I mentioned earlier, with Adamancipator, I've been more inclined to do the replay format because it's easier for me to actually get interesting games, because, again, most wins you get with Adamancipators, or maybe not most, but at least 50% do tend to be just your opponent conceding, because you're successfully comboing off. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. I definitely enjoy playing this deck and definitely plan to do so more in the future, not only here on the channel, but on my streams as well. If you check my description below, you'll see links to my Twitter and my Twitch. So feel free to follow me there. You'll definitely want to follow my Twitter if you want to check out my streams, because I'll always tweet out at least an hour before I stream. But I do stream regularly, bleh, words. I stream regularly on Friday nights, typically around 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. However, I also like to do impromptu streams on Wednesdays and Thursdays, the other open days in my schedule right now. So you might see streams on one or both of those days too. Again, check out my Twitter if you want to know when I am going live. You can also, of course, follow me on Twitch as well. That is going to do it for today, though. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, Jesus, I'm repeating myself at this point. I appreciate you watching to the end, and I especially appreciate it if you are commenting and subscribing. I love seeing you guys' comments. I have the best comments in the world. Seriously, you guys are great, and I love responding to you guys too. Without further ado, though, this is Hexlex signing out, and I hope you have a fantastic day.